systems do we have in place, and it's back to you again, ma'am, to prevent the very things that I have called to the attention of my colleagues?
Well, as a former enforcement attorney in FINRA, I can say that regulators have the same concern with fines and other punishments becoming just the cost of doing business. And it's one of the things that are considered along with the regulations around what can be punished.
May I ask for the record?
As you know, we're going to have a series of hearings, and our next panel will include a whole levy of experts also on some of these issues. With that, Mr. Parker,
May I say something in the record, please? I have
without objection, you may enter into the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Barr, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mr. Griffin, I want to revisit this issue of payment for order flow. Payment for order flow has been around for decades, correct?
So I know it's been around for at least 1 or 2 decades. I can't answer before that period.
And it's a recognized and approved practice by the SEC, correct?
Yes, it is.
And payment for order flow is set by the brokerage firm, not the wholesaler, right? Well, as a market maker that provides execution services to retail brokers, you are required to meet best execution requirements. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And in other words, market makers are required to provide the same or better pricing than the exchanges, correct?
That is correct.
And how can market makers offer that better pricing to Mr. Sherman's line of questions?
So there are a number of drivers that permit us to offer better pricing than what is available on the exchange. The first is that
Alrighty, guys. Cool. Make sure everything's good. We do our nice little test beforehand. Make sure we're all good on the audio. All good along those lines. It looks like we are looking pretty good. Just gonna pull up our readings for the day. Alrighty, guys. Welcome back. My name is Trent Manager. Welcome back to MTV I am your guys' host, Trent Manager, just like usual. If you are new here, please consider joining the Patreon or just stick around for the live stream. We go over a great deal of information of cryptocurrencies, sometimes stocks, technical analysis, and fundamentals of understanding. Welcome back, guys. I'm super excited you guys are back today. We got a ton of stuff going on, like per usual. Things are wild, not only just in the crypto space, but also in the stock space as well. We are having Robinhood testify along with Citadel and some other players who were in the scandal a couple weeks ago of the GME, GameStop, AMC stocks. We'll definitely chime into that just a bit later. I definitely want to cover on our typical base learnings first, and we will definitely get into that as well, because that is that is still a huge important part of what we are doing in the world right now. For the market is in Wall Street is still relevant. So we will definitely go on to that just a little bit later, guys. So just for on the agenda today, let's see, let's scroll down to get to. Oh, here, let me turn off the trading view, guys. So sorry, let me close that. So Thursday, what we're going to talk about today, guys, we got Coinbase's IPO, initial public offering. If you didn't know what an IPO was, that's just when a company decides to go public for public sharing and buying shares of that company. So Coinbase, the most popular American exchange for buying cryptocurrency, has been working with the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is just the security, of technology. So it's just the main top 500 performing players of stock-wise in the United States, or pretty much around the world. The top 500 best companies, and then we're gonna go over the Russia tax bill, first reading of State Duma. I believe that just covers. I read a ton of articles today already, but just like we've covered with Ethereum in the past. Vitalik has been talking with Vladimir and the Russian politics and works trying to work out kinks for years now. But they have now come to an agreement for a law and passing for taxes of cryptocurrency and how that is going to work for their country at least, which is great. We're moving forward with the adoption, and we're also moving forward with the acceptance, which is also amazing. The power of importance of altcoins outperforms Bitcoin. So I'm going to go over just we're going to hop into Motley Fool, another great newsletter I do read often, pretty much every day. We're going to go into the deep because it's crazy to think about that there have been other projects that have outperformed Bitcoin this cycle, even though Bitcoin has been on an absolute tear recently. It does what it wants whenever it wants, but there are smaller altcoin performances and other projects that are going to make the cut after after the dust is settled, and there are some I firmly believe in that are going to change the world of how we do decentralized finance, how we do regular finance, and just overall governance of our money. I believe is going to be very great for a lot of those performing altcoins. And we're also going to hop into Nvidia. Nvidia is a graphics card making company, not just that really much anymore. They provide more than that. They're doing a lot of AI work, a lot of work. I don't know if you guys knew, but they are the main generation of graphics in the Tesla models. I believe it's the Model S, Model Y, and I believe all of those. They power the big screen, on the front, not only with the Mario Kart games that you can play, but the GPS systems, the anything that is required, anything of CUDA cores and power of the graphics card components, and making things render and just going along that line. Nvidia does do so. Nvidia and Tesla have had a great partnership, and now they are working with getting Ethereum under control. Pretty much under control. So definitely. Doing some mining rigs and some other things to help the process of Ethereum flow a lot smoother. So awesome. So now we got that out of the way, guys. Just go over the agenda today. We can definitely just hop into what we are going to do today. So I guess we're going to hop into our first article. Definitely going to do a stopwatch. I like this. I was reviewing my live stream just yesterday, and I was like, I really think it's a good feature because it limits me and it doesn't get me too rambly, and it makes me go straight to the point. So I appreciate you guys for sticking around always and, telling me things I can improve on, and also staying with me to learn this information. It's truly awesome. So thank you guys. So I think first off, guys, we're going to let me see which one we want to start off with. Oh, whoopsies. Discord is a little crazy today, just for obvious reasons. So we're going to start off with a Coinbase IPO. Let's see if, let me make sure I got that pulled up. Awesome. So just going through the article briefly. Let me start the stopwatch. Going through the article briefly, Coinbase ready for public listing, gets 77 billion validation from Nasdaq Private Markets. So last week, the price, actually not even last week's settlement of the price of $303 per share would make Coinbase bigger than NYSE owner of ICE. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I might have to look that up real quick. Let's actually just take a quick Google search. I don't know if that's a company. I don't know everything, guys. But let's see who owns ICE. Jeffrey, chairman New Exchange. Okay, it's a Fortune company. Okay, so so this is the newest. This is one of the highest IPOs we've had rated. Definitely in the past, I can probably say last 8 years, 10 years. So this is obviously a pretty big deal. So the big deal is with Coinbase. This is the first IPO that has been publicly offered. Cryptocurrency wise, so in the fact of filing IPOs, it is probably the hardest thing you would have to do as a company is file for an IPO. So going through the Nasdaq and going through the Wall Street, the governments, everything you need to do, there is months and months of preparation that needs to be done before you can even get close to even thinking about filing for an IPO. Tax documents, files, investor returns, future goals, 25-year goals, fail of company, reconstruction. There are just endless possibilities of, what could happen when filing for an IPO, and all those things have to be in order. So listing an IPO is not anything easy, and it's not something that, people that aren't sticking around are gonna do. So I'm very excited for Coinbase's IPO, just for a number of reasons, as I do use Coinbase every day, and it has shown me time and time again as to why it should be valued at this price, and how the performance continues to stay upbeat with its competition compared to Binance and other cryptocurrency exchanges. I really do enjoy their CEO. Brian Armstrong has been in the space for, I cannot even tell you, probably longer than I've been alive, I would probably say. But he's a great man, and I think he's going to do great things for this Coinbase IPO. And it really is, like I said, I cover this often, guys, is that just the same way Bitcoin has paved the way for all these other cryptocurrencies, I would honestly have to say Coinbase is doing the same. Just in the fact of clearing the clearing the way for exchanges and really just keeping the crypto adoption coming. It really is a thumbs up, at least for our community. It's still this is still brand spanking new, technology, but and other integration. But this is something that's not going away, and this is just something we're just gonna have to work around and work with, and it's not like this is a hassle or anything. This is gonna be changing our lives for the better. So. Going down to the bottom half, the Coinbase private market is running an anonymous order book ahead of the company's direct public listing, a date of which is still unknown. The sales allows current and former employees as well as investors in Coinbase to take some cash off the table, around 254 million in shares, and Coinbase will be outstanding and available to trade to firm goes public according to the sources of knowledge of offering. So that's always good to see. Definitely having having enough, having regulated shares. They said just right here. Let me get my jar out. They said just right here, took about $254 million share. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry guys. Excuse my drawing. $254 million worth of shares, and why that's so good is just for the fact that there's nothing worse than having an IPO constructed. Yes, you still have to be organized in your IPO, of course, but just with everything we've seen with Wall Street, we'll be hopping in and checking out the live stream that's going on right now on GameStop and Citadel and Robinhood and all that whole flood. With the whole thing of Wall Street and the manipulation and the issues that they're having over there, the trust factor between Wall Street and the retail investor like you and I, and just it's basically pinned against the little guy. People like us who are trying to hop in these markets and do things that are going to set us up for generational wealth for our families, and either for you and I who maybe want to buy a house. I definitely want to buy a house this year. There are things that that are being done behind the scenes that are very not trustworthy for sure with Wall Street. So it's always good to see. Regardless, I know it's a crypto IPO. You guys got to remember when listing with IPOs, it's still going through Wall Street. It's still going through the initial public offering exchange. This is going to be a stock that you're going to be able to buy. So this is, this is something you'll be able to hold, just like MicroStrategy, Tesla, etc. So I just wanted to make sure that, some of you guys understood that, just for the confusion, because we've never had a cryptocurrency IPO really before ever. I guess MicroStrategy somewhat count, but those are companies that invest their side liquidity into Bitcoin. This is actually the first ever exchange that we've had come on into the Wall Street realm and, act as a strict crypto exchange. So I just definitely wanted to go over that and just kind of clear the air on that section. But we'll definitely continue on from that. Coinbase goes big. Hopes for Coinbase public listing are rated high with the crypto community, especially as price of Bitcoin, goes. I believe this is just from yesterday. Continues to go above 50,000. Oh yes, we did crack 50,000. I believe we might still be up there as well. Actually, yeah, we are right here. It's so funny. It says you right there. U.S. Securities Exchange Commissions is made public in the coming weeks. So this should be coming out relatively soon. I know in the next couple of weeks, Coinbase will make their appearance, and I will be buying. I'm a big believer in Coinbase, and I believe what they're doing is paving the way for a ton of other individuals and people in the space to not be afraid to dip their toes in this section. As Wall Street has some things to figure out themselves, but I don't believe Wall Street's going anywhere. We're still going to be here, work side by side, but just in the fact of, just like I've talked about so many times between these live streams, is having that congested tunnel A and then having that open, free, new tunnel B. So instead of the financial system, let me make sure I'm doing good. We're doing good in 5 minutes. Just like I said on that financial system, is that we're clogged into this A pipeline, and we don't have any alternative for a B pipeline. So everything you need to handle financially is due through pipeline A. So your house mortgage, you're buying your house, your credit cards, your car payments, your healthcare, like anything along those lines. It's, if you think about it, yes, it's all through tunnel A. There's no other way that, and what I mean by tunnel A is you have no other way to go to govern and be your own bank in that sense. So you go to Bank of America, you go to JP Morgan, you go to MidFirst, you go to all these, you go to these different banks, and it's still the same thing. It's just different names. And where these like we talked about, where the decentralized finance and Coinbase comes into play, is that it gives you that tunnel B as to where you can be your own bank. You can own Bitcoin, you can own Ethereum, you can own other stores of value that can be used as payment. And the adoption, as we've seen time and time again, is coming here. You're going to be able to pay with your things for, your store, for your Ethereum or for your Litecoin or for your Bitcoin, if you chose to. It's just that second route that has been needing to be available for us to use. So, and now that we are getting that, we're now seeing that B pipeline become a little bit more crystal clear. We're still working on it, but just for regulation standpoint and just the way of how it's going to be governed. And I know that was the complete opposite point of what Bitcoin is. And of course, you don't have to pay with your Bitcoin. I recommend you don't, just because it's a store of value, and there will only be 21 million in existence on that sense of that scale. So, kind of just off topic, but there will be ways that you can spend other forms of value, not just Bitcoin. Bitcoin just kind of just hogs the spotlight, like usual from all these other great projects. So definitely wanted to elaborate on that, and definitely I think we're going to move on from this, guys. I just wanted to definitely go into this because this was by far my favorite article that we definitely read, or at least that I read. So awesome. Alrighty, let's see what our next reading is. We will I'll see. I think we have some videos today as well. If not, I'll squeeze some in here. I know we got a couple. I think I got at least one today. Well, besides the live stream, because I know we're gonna split that in half. That's kind of why I'm kind of busting through this. I want to put the live stream on for you guys, in case you guys wanted to see it for sure. And thank you for taking your time to come over here and definitely watch the stream while there's tons of other things you could be doing. So awesome. We'll hop into the Russia tax bill next, and we'll definitely just go over this lightly, just because I think this is important, not only just for Ethereum's sake, number one, but just also again for the space in general. We're seeing another superpower, Russia, and I honestly can say, just for the facts of history and everything along those lines, is that Russia, China, and the United States are some of the top performing superpowers of the world. When you see adoption and you see verification from any of those three countries, and I believe that's a serious green light, especially I think when it comes to Russia and Putin's view of different aspects of cryptocurrencies, and just other new things coming into the world that may not be off the bat accepted, I guess I would say. So we'll definitely let's definitely dive into that. Let's see, let me find that, move that to the front. Awesome. So Russia crypto's tax bill passes first reading at the State Duma. The bill proposes to recognize cryptocurrency as a property for purpose of taxation. So that is this is definitely huge. I think this is actually dope. The bill proposes to recognize cryptocurrency as property for purpose of taxation. So I mean, all that basically just means that you're going to have to pay taxes on it, but I know in Russia they might have some different laws. But oh geez, we lost the camera. Okay, give me 1 sec, guys. No worries. Don't know why it's turned off. Awesome. Sorry guys, let me get this camera back on. I don't know. Ooh, don't know what happened. Awesome. Awesome, perfect. Alright, awesome guys, we'll just get right back into it. Definitely trying to work with the, DSLR is having a little bit of problems. I just do it because it's a lot. It's just so much crisper and cleaner than some webcams, but sometimes it does have its issues. But definitely going back to Russia State Duma, the country's lower house government has approved new legislation for the taxation of cryptocurrency, and it's reading the RA Novishtu reported on Wednesday. So we'll just go over there just like 3 of these points. The bill proposes to recognize cryptocurrency as property for purpose taxation, which Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin has previously said would bring holders legal protection and rights in court disputes. So this is actually awesome, because I don't know if you guys remember, but for FDIC insurance, FDIC is basically the backup insurance that you have just from time to go. I remember the last major crash we had in the 1960s or something. The last really big one we had when people were running to the banks, and like that's where the big money in the mattress came from, is that people keeping their money like in their in safe places underground in their mattress or anything else. That came from the fact that the banks have failed back during the last issue crisis. Because usually just shed some light on the issue, guys, is that if you go to the bank and I've had this happen before, if you've gone to the bank and say, hey, I need $15,000 in cash right now, to whether that be buy a car or put a down anything that you need a lump sum of cash for, if you go to the bank and say I need X amount of money, there's a good chance they might tell you, hey, we don't have that much on hand, can we schedule you for tomorrow? And you got to come back tomorrow, and they got to get the money trucks in and have that come back in. It's not an instant type thing, which a lot of people forget. The banks don't carry as much as you think they do, which is also pretty crazy. I've had that happen to me multiple times. And also on the other topic of FDIC insurance, cryptocurrency was not FDIC insured for, it still is not FDIC insured. It's always been like that. The government refused to back it just for the fact of not having the knowledge and understanding on it like we do now, and the development that we've had now. This was just fast forwarding back 3 months ago, before this was even this big, I guess, in a sense. It was still, in the water, it was still making splashes, but in the sense of the mainstream media, it was not being picked up. And any publicity is good publicity, I like to say. So yeah, definitely, this is awesome. This just shows that the adoption is here once again, and now they are trying to transfer this into a legal pool of protection and rights for court disputes. So that just means that now this is going to be treated on the same as your house, or someone stealing your car, or someone pretty much everything along those lines. It's just showing the importance and the insurance behind it. So, and then also going, cryptocurrency users would be required to declare receipts of cryptocurrencies exceeding 600,000 rubles or 8,184 per year. Okay, so that's pretty that's pretty obvious with what we did above. So all that really says is that you just got to report your taxes, be honest about what you make, and and I know it's hard because this is definitely new, and there's going to be newer ways to document your cryptocurrency and income and how that's going to be done. I'm not sure the regulations are going to be doing in Russia, but just having this here for step 2 is phenomenal. So I'm giving that a great thumbs up, absolutely. As well, failure to declare results in a fine of 10% of the underdeclared amount, or writing off such as currencies, whichever is larger. Okay, so here, let me reread that again. Failure to declare would result in a fine of 10% undeclared amount of writing off. Okay, so the punishment would be, that doesn't seem crazy severe, but 10%, just depending on how much you make, that's probably a good amount. So that's definitely good to have in there. So I'll definitely. Yeah, that's definitely that's 100% fair. That's kind of just how it is around the world as well. Plenty of 40% of required tax will be applied to non-payment of income tax for payment tax. So I know Russia's just a little bit different of how they govern things, but I would imagine these are all pretty, pretty expected from the Russian people. I'd imagine. If you're from Russia, please let me know, because I definitely want to know how this is being governed and how they're doing this. But for the most part, just showing the overall adoption of Russia's passing their first reading at State Duma is huge. That's really, we didn't have a ton to cover on this. I just wanted to show that one of the main superpowers right now, Russia, is giving the A-OK for thumbs up, giving backing behind cryptocurrency, and showing that it is continuing to be worth of value. So that is something that that is a huge plus in our section, guys. So I definitely wanted to cover that, because I think that's really important to know, is that just behind the scenes, there's a lot going on around the world, not just here in the United States. Things happen every day, multiple times a day, all day, every day. So just want to get that in there. Awesome. Then we're gonna move to the power and importance of altcoins. So we're definitely gonna take a look at this, just because I want to just open up your minds and give you some just a glimpse into what this space has to offer continuously, time and time again. As I know, Bitcoin does hog the spotlight, but me personally, I'm very transparent with you guys. I invest in plenty of other coins. There are some coins on here that I do invest in, and of course I'll tell you which ones I do invest in. So the 3 cryptocurrencies that have crushed Bitcoin over the past 3 months, I just did a short list just for short comparison, just to save on time and get right to the point for you guys. So I guess we'll definitely start at the top. So the first one, of course, Dogecoin, has been everywhere, which is pretty funny. If my honest opinion on Dogecoin, just from being in the blockchain for a while, it was the first ever coin to provide humor on the blockchain. It was the first ever meme coin that they would call it, provided a good laugh, and I guess of right now, I've seen people make a good amount of money off Dogecoin. Not backed by anything, has no fundamental value, but the fact that it is a joke and it does provide entertainment. There's an unlimited supply. It will never run out, and it is, I think right now, just about 5 cents, maybe less, for right now. And just for people that want the comparison of it going to $1, Dogecoin to $1, I'm not telling you that it won't happen. Possibly, but you have to remember, because anything is possible. I get shocked in this space every single day with everything going on. But you please remember the market cap as well. I cannot tell you it off the bat, but I can tell you this right now, that going from 5 cents to $1, that would be a market cap, probably, I believe, if I did my math right yesterday, it would probably double, or if not triple, big players market cap. So Ethereum, Bitcoin, the amount of money you would have to have in this coin to reach $1 is I think it's just too, it might be too far out of fetch. I don't want to talk too much about it, just because I'm personally not investing in it, but I think it's great. I think it's a great way to stick it to the dudes, and kind of just show them hey, like, we don't really need you guys anymore. We can kind of just do pretty much whatever, and this meme coin is a great show to that. But no hate against Dogecoin. I think it's hilarious, and I think it's awesome that, you know, people can drive something like that worth of value. And, you know, if it continues going up, man, more power to it. It's in the crypto space. We accept everything in the space, and I think it's a great way to provide some great humor. That's really all I gotta say on it. But definitely going over Cardano. This one I am invested in. I love Cardano. I think Charles Hoskins, the main developer of Cardano, is phenomenal. He's working deeper for just not only just with you know, making money, of course, but he's doing something that's gonna, you know, be changing the whole world. If you guys want to hear more about Cardano or give, you know, more cover about that, all Cardano is most likely short. We can definitely go over this just for a sec. I'll just read it out loud for you guys just because it's probably a lot easier than me trying to explain it, just in case I get something wrong. Let's see. So unlike Dogecoin, there do appearance to be tangible reasons behind the 766 rise in cryptocurrency. Cardano, or known as ADA, over the past 3 months in particular, 3 projects or events stand out. Probably the most important catalyst of the bunch was the launch of Shelly in late July. The engineering team has interesting poetic names for each of its upgrades. The last one was dubbed Brian. Shelly is designed to increase the number of nodes that the network participates and runs on without getting too far into the weeds. More nodes means more decentralization, improved security on Cardano network. Prior to this July launch, Cardano averaged 1,500 to 2,500 daily transaction. It is now averaging more than 25,000 transaction. Secondly, investors seem excited about the ongoing reinvestment on its blockchain project, in particular in engineering our hard work on Guan, which is one of the allowers to create smart contracts. Please remember this, guys. Smart contracts. We've covered this many times, and we will continue to cover it. Self-executing of its users, including one of many who may not understand the program. Third, Cardano seems to be a lift of its digital trust management companies, Grayscale, which recently added Cardano Trust. While this doesn't mean that Grayscale will offer an investment tool for Cardano, which the Grayscale and Bitcoin Trust, which it does for MicroStrategy and Bitcoin, Cardano investors are excited about that possibility. So, me personally, just from me working with smart contracts and understanding, I guess, a little bit deeper of how this is going to help. I know we've covered smart contracts, and I think I'm going to release a full in-depth about smart contracts, and I've kind of done it in the past. I know we covered it like pretty well, and I know like it was out there, but I feel like I could have done a little bit better in the past. But long story short, this improvement basically works the same as Ethereum, as the same way we've talked about smart contracts. I didn't even start the timer, but no worries, I'm just checking the time. So sorry, guys. Definitely in the way that it works with Ethereum. In the way of, you know, just like we talked about, that trust, transparency, and decentralization. That's what these smart contracts have done over and over again. And third card, just really moving forward. Cardano has been it's been phenomenal. As you can tell, it's up 766% in the past 3 months. And moving forward, I believe this is going to play a massive role in your life and how this is going to be governing smart contracts and governing your over decentralized experience for finance. So, and definitely going on to Stellar, guys. I don't know too much about Stellar, but Stellar has also been a great performer. It's crushed Bitcoin in the past 3 months with a 588% and triple. I could definitely, let's read the first paragraph. The most exciting aspect of Stellar is its incredible payment network speed, whereas traditional banking network takes anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. The approved settle of cross-border payments, Stellar can do in a matter of seconds. The only requirement is that Loomis XLM coin must be approved on that network. In other words, Stellar speeds up the supply chain by making payments more effective. Stellar is also receiving boosts from early January announcements that is working closely with the Ukraine government to create a central bank digitally. This doesn't guarantee the Stellar development of the foundation will ultimately be responsible for developing the national central bank of digital currencies, but that does not mean that Stellar does not play a key role in decision making in the Ministry of Digital Transformation officials and the report to Cointelegraph. So I believe Cointelegraph is just that's another news reporting source, but also one of the first ever cryptocurrency main provides of information. That's where you would go to get your most accurate cryptocurrency information, as the news, ABC, NBC don't do a great job of covering cryptocurrency. Number one, because they're not very knowledgeable about the space, and they may be getting the wrong information sometimes. So that's why just going to CoinDesk and other trustworthy sites that develop around crypto is super important to do for sure, guys. Definitely awesome. Here, let me just grab some quick water, guys. I'm so sorry, my throat is just killing me. guys. Oh, thanks so much. Oh my goodness. And then honestly, guys, just the last one I believe we're going to get into. If I double check, we're gonna go quickly on Nvidia's help with Ethereum, and then honestly, just for the last probably 30 minutes, guys, I might just turn on the live stream for you guys, and we can just carry out with that. I'll definitely be here. I'll definitely be here, still watching, just because I was watching it too before we even streamed. It's definitely a good one. They're getting some great points. You can learn a lot from these live streams. These upper hand guys really just doing their work in their business. And they explain great points in and out. Just from when I was watching, they were explaining some great points as to how they gotta fix these issues, and these issues just have to be fixed. So absolutely. Awesome, guys. So let's go back to Nvidia. And awesome. Just gonna wrap up for the day. You guys have been awesome. So going to see it, and I know I just said literally don't use CNBC. That is so funny. I literally just said that. Don't come to that. But I'm literally on an article like this. But the only reason I am is because Nvidia did give the thumbs up for this, and this was accurate information. So awesome. So Nvidia announces new chips designed for mining Ethereum as a cryptocurrency record hits. Cryptocurrency records hit. So Nvidia, like I said earlier, guys, they are not just they're mainly a graphics and graphics card company. They work with technology, fintech technology, things that are gonna make things easier for for us in the world of technology. So on Thursday, and just like we talked about a couple weeks ago, Nvidia was getting massive heat for the issues that they were having with their their gamers and their crypto miners, because when it comes to graphics cards, the GPUs, like we talked about, people always wonder how are these Bitcoins mined, like they still don't understand. And for people that are new here, the quick way to explain it is I compare it just to a mining a real mining rig. So you send your people in, they go mine, they pick up the coal, they put it in the cart, they ship it back to the main hub at the the top of the mountain, or wherever that hub is, and then it is taken from there to an exchange to either be cleaned or do whatever, and then it is sold off the exchange or from the company. So that is the exact same way that Bitcoin is done the exact same way. These graphics cards by these miners, miners buy these graphics cards, people like you and I, they have tons of them. And these GPUs, this technology we have nowadays, especially these gaming GPUs that are, hefty and, can control 4K and, do a lot of these, great renders and at explicit speeds, are great for Bitcoin mining for a number of reasons, because they can factor in CUDA cores. CUDA cores are, the smallest, graphic transaction, that you can do. And, with these algorithms that are, within the blockchain, these can be mined quite quickly. If you have, 10 to 20 to 30 of these, GTX 1080s, that have a good amount of VRAM, which is just the storage available for them to work through these algorithms, it comes into a very good thumbs up, for them. But it's not so good thumbs up for, the people who are gaming and just want a graphics card, either do video work, graphic design, like myself. I mean, I don't crypto mine, but I have a pretty hefty computer, for the things that I do for work. And, there was a big head clash between, crypto miners and gamers and Nvidia's population, because Nvidia caters to everybody. And now Nvidia is doing the right move, or not the right move, I guess. But regardless, if you're Nvidia, you don't really care where your graphics cards are going. You just care that you're making money at that point. Like, you don't care if you're selling them to crypto miners and your retail investors, your gamers aren't getting any. It doesn't matter to you, like, really much. And I'm glad that Nvidia, as an Nvidia owner in shares and also in their products, I've been loving Nvidia for years. I'm glad that they have address this, and also now come forward and now taking a hold on this, because I know that was just such a heat. I don't know if you guys are, how big of gamers you guys are, but realistically the prices for GPUs are marked up insane. The same graphics card that I got for I think 500, or at the time was worth 500. I think right now I couldn't even find it under 800. Like, it's just the fact of it being sold out, supply and demand. 100%, guys. So definitely just wanted to cover that and just kind of just like go over why this is kind of making sense, and why I even brought up this article, just because Nvidia moving in the future, I think Nvidia is going to stick around and be a phenomenal big player. They still, if you go and look at their stock and their overall performance, they are killing the game. They've been killing the game, and they will probably, I believe, continue to keep killing the game. And I believe this adjustment that they have for Ethereum is great, because now they're showing more specialization into the world of crypto, and then how they want to govern this and play their role. Making money is great, but definitely in the way of progressing us forward with this is definitely huge, and I think that's a great way to definitely think about it in my eyes, as a shareholder as well. Here, let's actually play this clip. Let's definitely play this clip. I would love to just hear what these people got to say.
The global computer chip shortage is impacting industries from medical devices
There you go.
to military
Just like what we
equipment.
covered.
In autos, General Motors saying could take a $2 billion hit in 2021 thanks to the semiconductor shortage, and announced 3 temporary plant shutdowns as assembly lines wait for more chips. Join us now to talk about how we got here and how we get out of this rut. Joseph Moore, semiconductor industry analyst at Morgan Stanley, and you've seen it. Recessions in the past, and it, usually things are kind of similar, Joe, but you point out this time it's weird. It's not, and things, I don't know whether things came back more quickly or in a more synchronous fashion, or whether some things like the stay-at-home plays, that demand never went away. So for whatever reason, we have seen things rebound really quickly, so the demand side of things is very strong. Then you got the issues with supply.
Yeah, it's really an interesting phenomenon. Usually early in an economic cycle, semiconductors do see this kind of strength, but it usually happens because it's preceded by a period of significant weakness where customers are taking down inventory. And we didn't really see that last year. We had unit growth last year for semis, and yet we have come back to this level that's pretty surprising in terms of the magnitude of some of these shortages. And I do think it's the breadth of upside. I think we're seeing very strong consumer electronics and gaming and things like that, which are really outlier strength, a little bit of cryptocurrency in there as well. But then we're seeing this resurgence in the more traditional analog and automotive and industrial markets. And it looks like customers drew their inventory down maybe more than it appeared last year. And then on top of that, there's some supply things that are leading to supplier anxiety and things like that. But it's definitely the sweet spot for the semiconductor cycle.
On the, let's talk supply, and not everyone is, I read through all your notes. You know a lot. You know so much more than I was really deciding I was going to know, but the nodes and everything else. But what are the three most important things that our viewers should know about supply constraints that are occurring right now?
There, guys, on video. Look at that. There you go.
Yeah, I think there are a number of issues. I think that there are Chinese foundries that are on the entity list, and that's causing anxiety from the semiconductor companies who use those manufacturers to build their products. And so they're moving it to other places. That's leading to tighter supply. You also have Chinese customers anxious about getting blocked from purchasing U.S. components, so they're building up inventory. And then on top of that, you had these kind of rolling outages of manufacturing around COVID, where you have different regions going offline at different times. All of that leads to an anxiety from customers that will have them wanting to put some inventory into place. And I guess what's reassuring from a semiconductor standpoint is that they're not really able to do that. I mean, when you see, it's not necessarily good news to have customers like General Motors say what they said from a semiconductor perspective, but it is good news from the standpoint of the longevity of this recovery, because it does mean that we're not at the phase yet where we're overshooting, where customers are starting to put inventory back on shelves. We're still at the point where we're trying to catch up to that.
Right, like double ordering and an inventory cycle is unlikely to happen this time around. There's a shift, I guess, to new, more advanced, 5G and such too, and there's a dynamic there as well.
Yeah, that's been pretty surprising to us. We've had the cutting edge capacity that's used for Qualcomm 5G chips or advanced graphics chips from AMD and NVIDIA. That stuff has become very tight, and there's nothing available really on store shelves for those types of products. And that's been after a period of what we thought was pretty high capital spending from foundry, from some restrictions from some Chinese foundry customers. We're still in a very robust environment. So this is strong at the cutting edge. It's also strong at the trailing edge. And it looks like we just we need to have a little bit more supply to kind of catch up to all this.
Awesome. Alrighty. So I just wanted to play that short 4 minute clip. Not 4 seconds. Definitely not 4 seconds. But definitely just they covered it. They went a little bit more in depth. But I think they did chime into what we talked about as well. Just showing the shortage, of course, number one, and also showing Nvidia at the top as well, as we just talked so highly about Nvidia and all those other chip makers. And this is something with the involvement of cryptocurrency is, that's something that, we need to, advance, is that these chips and these graphics cards play a massive role in our advancement moving forward. So, alrighty guys, so if we're going to be real, we covered everything. I'm going to throw on the live stream of the GameStop and Citadel live stream of, what they're going on. I think the last 20 minutes of that is going to be really great for you guys, just because they go over some in-depth analysis. They're going over, they're chewing some people out pretty hard in that sense, but it's what's got to be done. And if you guys want my opinion on it, you're more than welcome to ask me about it or ping me on it. But I won't go too deep into it, just because I want you guys to definitely watch this. So other than that, guys, great stream today. Really appreciate you guys chiming in. If you want to share this with anybody, friends, family, let them know about the Patreon and the learning. Please do. Live streams are always free, but if you definitely want some deeper, a little bit more education, the Patreon is a great way. We got a Discord community getting set up, a couple people in there already. People that are already in the Patreon, they get updates consistently, readings, lessons, charts. I'm posting on my Patreon constantly, to make you guys keep you guys up to date. And I know you guys' lives are busy, and I do this. I'm at home 24/7. I work at home a ton, pretty much all day, every day, and this is what I do every day. So I'm always here to give you guys information. So alrighty guys, be safe, have a great one. I'm gonna transfer it over to the live stream section, and I'll still be here. I'm just gonna turn off my mic and camera, and I'm gonna let you guys enjoy. Alrighty guys, stay safe.
That money and conceit to.
Oops.
No, it's most certainly not. It's most certainly not, Mr. Tennant. And so I'm going to ask you. I'm out of time, but again, you put out the $35 billion number, so I think it's only decent, because you and I both know that a hard dollar number is meaningless unless you can convert it to return. So I'm going to ask you to convert that. Obviously, I'm out of time, into a rate of return for us.
You're out of time. Mr. Laudermilk, you now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate all the members of the panel being here. I think you've seen that there are occasions with some on the committee here that if you're not giving them the answer that they want, that they can use, they're just going to continue to push on you. And I just encourage you to continue speaking the truth, and you'll always stand up head and shoulders above everyone. Not surprisingly, the situation with GameStop trading has resulted in commentators and even some of my colleagues engaging in knee-jerk reactions, calling for new laws and regulations to be hastily enacted. It just seems to be a trend in Washington, D.C. to never let a crisis go to waste. Some have even spread conspiracy theories and alleged that crimes were committed before knowing what even happened. I can even testify to what was just being said. Is I know numbers of people, personal friends, who have never invested before, but because of Robinhood and other retail platforms, many of them took the stimulus money that they received during the CARES Act, which they were still working, they didn't need, and they actually started an account and started investing. So yes, more and more people who have never invested before are now investing using these platforms. This hearing is a reminder that with complex situations, we should take time to understand what actually did or did not happen, especially with this GameStop situation. Now, the SEC is the proper authority to determine if any rules were broken, and they are looking into it. Congress has already given the SEC broad authority to oversee the capital markets, and we do not need to rush to enact even more big government regulations until that could ultimately harm the investors. Now, question, Mr. Tennant, can you remind us again why Robinhood temporarily paused trading of GameStop and other stocks?
Of course, thank you, Congressman. Robinhood paused trading temporarily, or I should say paused buying of about 13 securities on Thursday. so that we could meet our regulatory deposit and collateral requirements.
Okay, so what you're saying is you were paused because you had to comply with regulations. Is that true?
Correct.
All right, so it's ironic that the people who are criticizing brokerage firms because they pause trading, which they sometimes have to do to comply with regulations, these same folks are now saying we need to respond to this with more regulations. I would say if people don't like brokers occasionally having to pause trading, I'd suggest they look at the regulations that required it. At some point, we need to recognize that piling on more and more regulations only increases complexity and does not help investors. Question for Ms. Schultz. Despite the volatility and the frenzy of media and social media activity, it seems to me like the markets functioned as they were supposed to during this situation, and that markets are not broken. In fact, they are working well. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I think most reasonable people that are listening to this would agree that there are regulations in place. The SEC has those to pause activities that could be harmful, not only to the markets, but to the individual investors. And so what I'm understanding you saying is that it did work in the way it was supposed to.
As the facts that I know now, it does appear to have worked the way it was supposed to. This is not a sign to me that the market is broken.
Thank you. Mr. Griffin, what are some of the issues that policymakers should consider in the T+2, T+1, T+0 debate? Obviously, margin requirements exist to make sure firms have enough capital to settle transactions, but faster settlement and lower margin requirements can be positive for the retail investors, and we need to balance those needs. Can you address what some of the issues are in the T2, T1, and T0 debate?
So, Congressman, I cannot profess to be an expert on these issues, but I will give you my perspectives from having been in the industry for 30 years. We started at T5. We will one day be at real-time settlement. And the question is how long does that journey take? From T2 to T1, which reduces the amount of capital required by broker-dealers to meet the needs of their customers, that reduction in capital will be meaningful. Would have been very helpful to Robinhood during this period of time. Reduces counterparty risk holistically, which is good for everybody in the market. We should push for T1. As we go to same-day settlement, you now bring into question the complexity of intraday cash movement, and you bring into play the necessity for all systems to be functioning every moment of every day with no room for error. On a T1 settlement cycle.
This time has expired. Let me remind the members that we're going to have a series of hearings. Today is the first. There will be probably two more. I didn't hear anyone here today say that they were ready to pile on regulations. So let's make sure we know that our statements are accurate. Mr. Foster, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to our witnesses. Mr. Tenov, I'd like to follow up a little bit on payment for order flow and best order execution issues. Democratization of finance is a good and noble goal, but for democracy to work, consumers need transparency and high quality information, and not only about fees, but about order execution quality. Your customers actually don't care directly about who you subcontract order execution to or any payment for order flow, but they need a simple way to compare the execution quality between your app and competing apps or other accounts. And while institutional investors can afford to run their own tests, and they do, and I'm sure Mr. Griffin is quite often on the receiving end of those tests and trying to measure up to his competitors to compete for market share there. The institutional investors have the market power to demand best execution statistics for their prime brokers. And everyday investors do not get the same transparency. In fact, I believe there's an SEC rule 606 that requires brokers to disclose at least some order execution data to institutional investors, but this requirement does not apply to retail investors. So, Mr. Tenov, since Robinhood's mission is to democratize finance for all, I ask, what are the mechanisms that you would accept and support to provide transparent order execution quality statistics so that your customers can engage in a clean apples to apples comparison between other brokers, between your app and other people's apps in terms of the total cost of trading?
Thank you, Congressman, for that very important question. I'm generally in favor of a greater amount of transparency than what we've typically seen in the financial industry. And recently, Robinhood and me personally have engaged publicly on the topic of payment for order flow, short selling, and of course, T+2 and real-time settlement. We do publish 606s via Robinhood Securities that detail our payment for order flow arrangements with various market makers. And just this past year, the industry implemented more detailed 606 requirements, which we of course conform to. Also, back in December of 2020, we released a public page on our website that provided detail about the execution quality, including price improvement that our customers received. And we're proud to announce in 2020, our customers received in aggregate over $1 billion of price improvement on their executions.
Right, but that's not a comparison to your competitors. There are a lot of questions about the accuracy of the best execution reference price. And independent of whether it should be improved, it seems like if I was a customer of you or one of your competitors, what I'd want to see is, I just executed a trade of $2,000 and on average, I got X% better or worse than a reference price. And then over time, and see not only the trade that I just executed, but perhaps a running average over the last month or two that you can compare to the running average of whether you're exceeding some benchmark for trade execution quality that can really be compared with potential competitors. And is that a workable system? Are there difficulties? Is there a reason why industry shouldn't move that way in the name of transparency to customers?
Congressman, this is a very interesting topic to me. I'd love to have the conversation. I don't know if this is the right forum to necessarily ideate and brainstorm on all the solutions, but I just want to say I'd be happy to engage with this in a detailed forum and figure out the right path.
Okay, well, yeah, we do intend to continue to engage with the industry on this subject because it's very easy to make payment for order flow sound really creepy. You're basically selling a list of rubes to the sharks. Okay, on the other hand, you make part of an argument that this can net out positive for consumers, but for it to fully net out positive, they have to be able to make the apples to apples comparison. And so that's, I think really an important issue. And I think that probably your reaction to that, if you found your customers were leaving you because of poor execution quality, you would do what large funds do, which is to split your order flow between multiple order execution firms and then demand of them the best order execution and move your business to whoever does the best for your customers.
Yes, Congressman, we already do that. We have 7
time has
market
expired.
makers.
Mr. Mooney, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So let me just start by saying that last Congress, 30 of my Democrat colleagues, 4 of whom on this very committee, co-sponsored a bill that would impose a financial transaction tax on the purchase of securities and certain derivatives. And just recently, after the market volatility surrounding GameStop in January, Democrats renewed the call, many Democrats anyway, renewed the call for a financial transaction tax. On just January 28th, Congresswoman Ileana Omar tweeted, "How about this? Financial transaction tax now." Congressman Peter DeFazio is the lead sponsor of the bill. He's already put the bill back in for this session of Congress. It's now House Resolution 328 of 2000. So it's called the Wall Street Tax Act of 2021. I actually have a copy of it from the last session here. It's in again now. And he says, Congressman DeFazio says that a financial transaction tax would, quote, help create a more level playing field for Main Street. So with that background, Mr. Attentive, this question is directed at you. The Robinhood platform has more than 13 million users, and most of them are small dollar retail investors if the federal government levied a 0.1% transaction tax on the sale of securities? How, and I know one of my colleagues, French Hill, my good friend, mentioned this earlier, but I want I want to expand upon a little more. How would that 0.1% transaction tax on the sale of securities affect your platform and the retail investors that are your customers?
Thank you, Congressman. And we'd be happy to engage in this discussion much more in the future. A 10 basis point financial transaction tax would eat into the returns of our customers, which, as you pointed out, are largely smaller investors. And in that sense, it would be a cost to the retail investor. Of course, that would have to be weighed against the potential benefits of this tax. And I know it's a more complicated issue than meets the eye at first glance.
Okay, well, thank you for that answer. My next question is actually for Jennifer Schlupp. I know you spent your career specializing in financial regulation. In your expert opinion, would a financial transaction tax directly prevent fraud or market manipulation?
No, I don't think a financial transaction tax would have an effect on fraud or manipulation. I also don't think that it ultimately, financial transaction taxes often fail to raise money, and they distort trading in a way that's not necessarily foreseen initially by the tax. And I'd like to just add in there as well that financial transaction taxes, while they initially might seem like a small imposition on an individual investor, those taxes often hurt individual investors and their long-term retirement goals by affecting the institutions that also do the trading in mutual funds and with retirement money. I don't think a financial transaction tax is a good idea.
And a quick follow-up to that, Mr. Schlupp, what do you think a financial transaction tax would have done anything to prevent the market volatility and disruption we saw just this past January?
No, I don't think it's related here. There's been some discussion that it might have decreased the amount of trading and thus changed the volatility. It's not my opinion that would have had any effect on this particular circumstance.